Hello friends, myself Dr. Alka Mukherjee. I am a medico-legal consultant from Nagpur. Day in and day out, we are living in the fear of medico-legal cases. Can we prevent them? Everyone wants the answer. So here I am with the presentation of preventing medico-legal issues in clinical practice. Can dream become reality? We all know litigation in medical practice is a global problem nowadays. In India too, the public awareness and medical negligence has grown by leaps and bounds despite the issues of poverty and health illiteracy. From 1986, we medical practitioners, we came under the ambit of Consumer Protection Act, which have added fuel to the existing fire. In our profession, that is in our branch, that is obstetrics and gynecology, we face dual professional accountability. We are accountable for mother as well as the baby. One is seen and one is unseen. Our profession has its own ethical parameters and code of conduct. Our negligence, the negligence by doctors, it is determined by the judges who are not trained in medical science. They totally rely on the expert's opinion and decide on the basis of basic principles of reasonableness and prudence. So there is a very thin line, very thin line dividing between the three levels of negligence. That is lata culpa, which is gross neglect; levis culpa, that is ordinary neglect; levissima culpa, that is slight neglect. The level of negligence, again, it depends on the entire context, which includes the place, the time, the individuals involved, and the level of complications. The difference between medical negligence and medical error is well settled, but there is a need to appreciate this differentiation by the society so that doctors do not get inducted for impractical reasons in the medico-legal cases. There are certain factors which are considered by court in proving negligence by doctors. From time to time, these cases have come in the court. The first and foremost important factor is incomplete consent, wherein the patients, they filed cases and they mentioned the reason that they didn't understand the nature of medical procedure to which they have given consent. National Commission has stated the concept of informed consent, in which the information must be explained in comprehensive non-medical terms, preferably in local language, about the nature of the disease, about the complications, about the need of the different investigations, the benefits, the risk, and if the surgery is not done, what are the consequences. So it should be the proper information, the voluntariness on the part of patient, and capacity to understand that consent is must on the part of patients. If consent is taken for one of the diagnostic purposes, it cannot be used for therapeutic purposes. For example, if a consent is taken for diagnostic laparoscopy, you cannot use it for conducting hysterectomy or oophorectomy, even if it is necessary. If such things are anticipated, a prior consent after explaining all the pros and cons should be obtained separately, even for extension of surgery beyond consent. Doing oophorectomy after hysterectomy for a deceased ovary amounts to negligence. Such extensions or additions in surgery can be done without consent only in dire emergency to save the life of the patient, and doctor should be in a position to defend it later on. The next important factor is undue delay in shifting a critically ill patient to a higher center. Operating in a setup where no proper emergency facilities are available when needed, like availability of oxygen, blood when needed, and ambulance facilities to shift the patient, are considered as negligence. The next important factor is again failure to detect the internal hemorrhage following the major vaginal operations or hysterectomy or injuries to bladder and ureters, and failure to diagnose the intestinal injuries by laparoscopic port insertion amount to negligence. Failure to diagnose major congenital anomalies on ultrasonography, intrapartum intrauterine hypoxia, inadequate resuscitation of baby without calling pediatrician in the delivery room, undue delay in conducting cesarean section, decision to delivery interval day count, omission to remove the swabs from the vagina or abdominal cavity or to monitor PPH also amount to negligence. For issues like change in the sex of the baby, it is always better to attach a tag to the baby which contains name of the mother, father, sex, time of birth, birth weight, date of birth, and preferably a footprint to be taken. Certain common errors by the medical professionals. Patient is sued because of a feeling that they were not heard, that their needs were not attended to, and that nobody seemed to care. As a result, a bad outcome resulted due to mistake or negligence of the doctor. Here the compassionate gestures they count. If a hospitalized patient has a bad outcome, some physician may avoid making rounds in the presence of relatives. That is very bad. It is a good practice to maintain the eye contact while addressing the patient and put a comforting hand on the individual's arm or comforting touch. Some doctors, they practice defensive medicine. It is better to avoid practicing defensive medicine, particularly when affordability is an issue. Victim is very likely to complain about it. Amounts to medical negligence, medical malpractice. Failure to communicate. One should communicate very clearly and effectively. It is the communication error, it is the loss of communication which takes you to the court of law. Take time to ensure that whatever you say, patient understood about the diagnosis, treatment, medication plan, and then recheck by asking them questions. This ensures instructions are properly followed and demonstrates your care towards the patient. Failure to diagnose is one of the reasons. A techno-savvy patient may explain or ask more information, or psychologically less sophisticated patient may withhold the information and makes the diagnosis very difficult. Failure to identify a complication is a known risk. It should be on the consent form for the medical procedure. However, consent form need not list every single complication that has ever occurred for that procedure. Often there are mistakes in communicating the complications. For example, complication is known to occur 10% of the time during a given procedure, but consent form states that it occurs only 1% of the time. Then the consent form is wrong. Coming to follow-ups, the inadequate follow-ups, there are instances when test results are not received by the ordering physician at the time of discharge. Sometimes patients do not follow through with the test as directed, or as the results come in are filed away before the physician reviews them, and the patient is not briefed about the findings. It is essential that physician and their staffs are able to track the status of these orders to make sure that none is overlooked by or forgotten. Another aspect of care needing better follow-up involves referrals to specialists. Every step has to be documented, not only for preventing medico-legal issues but also for good patient care as well. Patient's time. Patient buys your time. They are spending on your fees. The time spent allowed the patient to fully explain his or her concern determines the physician's ability to show concern, empathy, and likability. The longer the quality time a doctor spends with the patient, the less likely the physician is going to be sued. Then coming to prescription here. Before prescribing any medication, a physician should be aware that all medication the patient is taking, including over-the-counter drugs and alternative medicines. Otherwise, the same patient is receiving prescription from you as well as he is taking the over-the-counter medicines too of the same nature. Physicians should reinforce the importance of taking the medication only as prescribed. Patients should be advised that if they feel any medication is not having its intended effect, they should immediately report to the doctor. An important way to prevent inadvertent drug interaction is by working in concert with the hospital pharmacist. Avoid handwriting prescription and utilize instead electronic medical recording with electronic prescribing. What are the duties of the doctor? A duty of care in deciding whether to undertake the case, a duty of care in deciding what treatment to give, and a duty of care in the administration of that treatment. A breach of any of these duties gives a right of action for negligence to the patient. A victim can seek any of the following actions against a negligent medical professional, like a compensatory action or punitive action or recommendatory action. Compensatory action, it is seeking the monetary compensation before the civil courts, high courts, or the consumer dispute redressal forum. Punitive action, filing a criminal complaint against the doctor under IPC. Disciplinary action, moving the professional bodies like Indian Medical Association, State Medical Council seeking disciplinary action. Recommendatory action, lodging complaint before the National or State Human Rights Commission seeking compensation. If your luck is not favorable, then the victim can lodge complaint at all the 4 levels. What is the accountability of hospitals? There is a direct liability as well as vicarious liability. Hospital liability with respect to medical negligence can be direct or vicarious, and direct liability refers to the deficiency of the hospital itself in providing safe and suitable environment for treatment as promised. And vicarious means the liability of an employer for the negligent action of its employees. An employer is responsible not only for its own act of commission and omission but also for the negligence of its employees as long as the act occurs within the course and scope of their employment. Prevention of medical negligence. In recent times, medical science has grown up exponentially. technologically advances are there, but healthcare delivery system is still a human endeavor. Here still a human touch is involved. Evidences are there. Errors are often the result of not from a lack of knowledge, but from the mindless application of an unexamined habits and interference of unexamined emotions. Prevention is the key. That's why we should be very particular in treating the patient. These 4 C's are for malpractice prevention are very important: caring, communication, competence, and charting documentation. One should have asset protection and indemnity. It is vital for the survival of a doctor to develop an asset protection plan in addition to professional medical liability insurance. Not only does a malpractice lawsuit reduce the physician's ability to make a living in medicine, but also it can adversely impact or devastate both earned and invested assets. 2 types of indemnity: professional indemnity, personal or individual, errors and omission policy. These are the policies one should have. The burden of proof: the court also has held the opinion that medical negligence has to be established and it cannot be presumed. In cases of medical negligence, the patient must establish his or her claim against the doctor. The burden of proof correspondingly greater on the person who alleges negligence against a doctor. A doctor can be held liable for negligence only if one can prove that he or she is guilty of a failure that no doctor with ordinary skill would be guilty of, him acting with a reasonable care. One should have change in his or her attitude, which is beneficial and recommended. Refrain from blaming other healthcare professionals. A treating doctor should not let fatigue or anything else gets in the way of treating the patients. Be conscientious. When physicians are honest about their medical errors, they can apologize to the patient. The overall cost of medical malpractice is reduced at the end if you apologize. However, it depends on the type of error, gross or real, motive of the victim, non-mischievous, and situational influences, that is indefensible. Coming to clinical guidelines. Adherence to the clinical guidelines is an effective way to improve the quality care and reduce the variation in care. Clinical guidelines have been systematically developed nationally and globally to assist the clinical decision making. In medical negligence claims and in court, these guidelines may act as a source of information provided they are the product of a recognized body and are deemed essential. Documentation has a legal credibility. It should be accurate, truthful, and appropriate. Coming to empathy, patients should be made to believe that they are the most important person the doctor will see that day, and the doctor focuses 100% on them. If it is not feasible, taking time to think like a patient and understand the condition from their perspective, keeping yourself in their own shoes, in the shoes of patient, can help in becoming more empathetic physician and build a better relationship. People, they are less likely to sue a physician with whom they have a positive relationship even if something goes wrong. Coming to expectations, medical malpractice lawsuits are not quick. It could take years after an incident for a malpractice case to be resolved. It's a long battle, including discovery, which goes through investigation process. It takes months for this phase alone. While in the midst of a malpractice case, one needs to stay focused on other areas of our life. The support system need to be mobilized, and obsessing over the case should be avoided. The medical malpractice stress syndrome is very real. It is experienced to some degree by all physicians who have been sued in past. Coming to hospital policies, if the physician follows hospital policy regarding treatment and protocols, they are less likely to get into trouble. Keeping yourself updated, stay up to date about the latest continued medical education program, conferences, workshops, symposia, webinars. It is important for the doctor to keep themselves updated more than the patients. Not everyone who sues has a case. There are many instances when a doctor is served with a lawsuit, but the case never goes to the trial, or the doctor wins or is not found negligent. A reasonable doctor should consider every patient as a potential litigant. Constant awareness to stick to a prescribed standard of care and avoid any adventurous attempt. A doctor should not ignore any allegation in any form, oral or written, and should be able to handle allegations with clear and firmness in an intelligent and sympathetic manner. Coming to risk management, if a doctor is working for a hospital, the defendant doctor should notify risk management department of the hospital whenever a notice is served. Then that lawyer who specializes in medical malpractice will help the defendant doctor through the process. Becoming educated and understanding preparedness, what will happen, help reduce anxiety. Coming to contributory negligence, when a patient by his or her own want of care contributes to the damage caused in the process of treatment, then they are said to be guilty of contributory negligence. And when there is negligence of two or more persons towards the patient resulting in a particular damage, it is called composite negligence. They are jointly or severally held liable for the damages. Coming to informed consent, why do we need informed consent? The extremely short answer: for ethical thing, for safety of the patient and safety of the doctor, for access, for diversity, and for law. We need to have informed consent. Immunity of government doctors. The National Commission by its judgment and order has held that persons who avail themselves of the facility of medical treatment in government hospitals are not consumers, and the said facility offered in the government hospitals cannot be regarded as service hired for consideration. It has been held that payment of direct or indirect taxes by the public doesn't constitute consideration paid for hiring the services rendered in the government hospital. Coming to media trials, media is considered as the fourth pillar of our democracy, but it has no right to present the fact of a case or in an unfair and prejudicial manner. A doctor cannot become a victim of malicious or defamatory reporting. A doctor should not be silent and should rebut the allegations. The doctor can take help of their professional association to convey the fact and support to resist a trial by media. Coming to prevention of harassment of doctors, taking the judicial notice of incidents when the doctors are being harassed by the police and in the guise of investigations and unnecessary delay in the medical evidence by way of frequent adjournment or by cross-examination. The court held that unnecessary harassment of members of the medical professional should be avoided. They should not be called to the police station unnecessarily. The trial court should not summon medical person unnecessarily unless the evidence is necessary. Supreme Court has warned the police officials not to arrest or harass doctors unless the facts clearly come within the parameters laid down in Jacob Methu case. Even a threat was given to the police officers that if they didn't follow these orders, they themselves had to face legal action. In this way, the Supreme Court has attempted to remove apprehension that prevents medical people from discharging their duty to a suffering person. So to conclude with, the practice of medicine is capable of rendering great service to the society provided we give due care, sincerity, efficiency and skills are observed by doctors. Cordial relationship between doctor-patient has undergone drastic change due to corporatization of the medical profession, resulting in commercialization of the noble profession. Although rapid advances are there in medical science, but still the doctor have to use their human touch, human thing for the patient to get to a proper diagnosis and to avoid commercial exploitation of the patient. Medical law is undergoing a massive change. The development of law pertaining to medical professional misconduct and negligence is far from satisfactory. Legislations are not adequate. Lawsuits for medical negligence can be minimized or avoided by taking steps to keep the patient satisfied, adhering to the policy and procedures, developing patient-centered care, and knowing ways of defending against malpractice judgments. Having comprehensive professional liability insurance is necessary in the present-day litigious society. So ultimately, dreams can become a reality when we possess a vision that is characterized by the willingness to work hard, a desire for excellence, and a belief in our right and our responsibility to be equal members of society. We can turn this dream into reality of preventing litigation in our practice. Thank you so much.